The NRL Fantasy Live Show, Thursday night. It was a new show last week. It's not a new show now. This is our second go around. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Longy here. We've got Turtles and we've got Fungy. Quick word from both of you guys. Turtles, how was last week and how you looking coming into this week, man?
Oh, last week was terrible. I copped the Nico Hines and Tamale shenanigans. I dodged Cookie, but when you're as high ranked as me, having those guys is detrimental to your team. So fell back a bit of ranks, but looking to make it up this week.
Yeah, mate, this is the week to do it. And Rob, how about you, man?
Yeah, unfortunately I had Hines and Cook, so it wasn't amazing. But I did climb about 100 ranks, so can't really complain.
Beauty. And from my side, I'll answer Payne Haas, who's back again. He's taken a break from Origin camp to join us on the show. Well, good to see you again, Payne Haas. From my side, I am stagnating, and I'm finding it a bit tricky right now. So I've sort of floated around that, just outside of the top 1,000 area for about 6 weeks now. I'm just sort of sitting there. I'll have a great start to my round, and then I'll have, Tamale and Nico Hines and all those guys fall apart for me, and it just goes wrong. So, or the other way around, I'll start poorly and then things come back at the end and I just end up stagnating. So I'm hoping this week is a week where I can explode. But I don't know, as I think about it more, I think maybe this is the week for a pod captain. Now, let's get into captains here, and we'll answer some questions on the live here too. But for captaincy, no Payne Haas this week, no Terrell May, no Nathan Cleary. Now, the first look at this, you'd probably say, all right, you know what, Koloamatangi, it's 3 back-to-back 80-plus scores, incredible base stats, attacking upside. You'd be an idiot not to captain Koloamatangi. With that setup, though, I'm going to force each of you and me to argue for one captain who isn't Koloamatangi. So, Turtle, I'll throw to you first.
I'm going to probably pick Teddy. So last major buy round, it was Victor Radley's 150th game, and post game interview, Teddy came on, was like, yeah, like it was me and Radley as the senior players. Everyone else was at Origin. Everyone else who we still have is really young. So we kind of needed a step up here. And he kind of let Radley do that because it was his big game, and Radley played, I think, the whole 80 minutes. So now it's no longer Radley's big game. He's got Nafu White who's coming back to help with some experience, but I reckon Teddy's in for a big one this week.
Yeah, I don't mind that. I included him in the graphic there. That's a big pod. Pretty good matchup as well. The fixture's good against Newcastle. How about you, Rob? Which way are you leaning if it wasn't Keon?
I'm leaning towards Herbie, which is really annoying because I don't have him. But I think every week he just pumps out the 60s without trying very much, right? He just has a try here or there, does a crab run, 20 points, and he's due that really massive game that we all know he can have. So I think this week he can pop off against the Cowboys and he can get close to 100.
Yeah, I think that matchup is primed for big fantasy production too. I'm looking at that Cowboys v Dolphins game and just thinking, all right, both teams are missing a lot of their forwards. They've both got very explosive backlines. No Hamaso, but Avarillo's very dynamic as well. Should be a big day. So guys like, we'll talk about Jackson Purdue later as well, but I'm starting Purdue pretty comfortably this week. I think there's plenty of attacking stats on offer for him in that game. For trades this week, I'm thinking about Drinkwater as well. We'll go into that in a sec. But from my side, if I'm going to pick a captain who isn't one of the ones you guys just mentioned, do I say Turbo? Do I just start hot with that? And, we set the tone for the show. Like, hey, oh yeah, we're that kind of show. Look, Turbo, Garrick, those kinds of guys, I actually do think there's massive explosion potential. So that Titans matchup is huge. I would not recommend captaining them. I wouldn't recommend it. But one that I would consider is Kai Pearce-Paul. And you've got Newcastle up against the Roosters who, are quite favoured. But the Roosters forward pack is somewhat depleted by Origin. And Kai Pearce-Paul has been absolutely dominating lately. So he's been on track for a couple of 80-odd scores without huge attacking plays. Last week we had the line break try assist. That definitely helped. But it feels like his base is in that 50s area, and we actually haven't seen his upper ceiling yet. That would require Sharp to play, though. I think if Sharp doesn't play, then their attack is a bit stunted. But I think Pearce-Paul has a bit of chops as a captain option. Turtle, I'll throw to you again, because what's your real answer here, right? So we've gone, the pod play Tedesco there, but is it Keon for you, or are you doing something different here?
Before it's most likely Keon, but one guy you left out in the photo, Scott Drinkwater. Like, I looked at last year's stats as a pod captain. Last year, Cowboys played 2 of the major buy rounds. He scored an 83 and like a 59. So I'm like, That's pretty good. So and last year they had more players at Origin as well. Like they had Val Holmes and stuff as well, but they get depleted. But he definitely steps up. And this year he's got the goal kicking. So if the lowest score was like 59. So you add an extra, I think he's averaging 3 goals a game at the moment. Easy 65, and that's what we've been getting lately from some of our captains like Terrell May and stuff. You get like 70, 75. So I think he's a real spicy pod that's not really up there at the moment, but I think 99% of us, including me, we're just going to stick with Keon. He's a big minute player. He gets his work done. He's kind of like Terrell May, but a little bit more explosive lately.
I don't mind that. I don't mind that shout either. Rob, do you have anyone else that you want to flag as a potential captain here?
No, it's got to be Keon. I think that what Turtle said was valid about, pardon me, drink water. But it's funny that these days, 65 is not good enough for a captain. I mean, like back in the day, 65 was, it's amazing. Now it's kind of like pretty average. I mean, like even below average. So you really want 70 plus. And Drinky, I just don't see him doing it all the time. But Keon is just like, it's just like he's destined to get 70 plus every week in that new role.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Something pulls me into Herbie Farnworth, right? So when I heard that Mitch Moses was out of Origin, I thought, all right, maybe Matt Burton goes into the team, and then maybe Keon Kolomatangi is the 18th man. I was pumped. I was actually really excited for that because, a bit of carnage there. Obviously, I have to make a trade to replace Keon. That's not the best, but that carnage would have meant everyone has to choose a captain. And I just think Herbie Farnworth in this Cowboys game up against Braden Burns, who is a unit, but can't keep up with Herbie, right? I was thinking that was going to be really exciting. So, that could have been a fun option. Couchman, we haven't talked about either. I think Couchman, he's not going to go below 50, is he? Turtles?
I don't think he goes below 50, but he just lacks that extra upside. Like Keon's gotten 2 tries in the past 3 or 4 games or something. I don't see Couchman scoring a try, and that's what you need when they have similar work rates, like they have good PPMs, but then you get that little extra explosiveness where Keon might throw an extra offload a game and he might score a try at an extra game, and then suddenly he's in the 80s. Whereas Couchman, he's just going to hover in the 50 to 60 range, and if you're lucky, he might get an extra offload and push him just above 60. But he just, like Rob said, 60 is not good enough. Our captains, we're demanding a lot this year because we've seen the likes of Payne Haas and Terrell May go 90 plus, and it's just do we really want a 60 captain? Not really, eh?
Now I've got another question for you, and then I'll go to you, Rob. So, Turtle, should I drink water or sink piss this week?
Sink piss.
Yep.
Definitely sink piss.
And Rob, AFB captain, bit of a spicy pod, played 60 plus minutes last week. Good matchup on paper this week, right?
Yeah, he's due. He hasn't had a big score for a while, and he likes to pop up a big try here or there. So it's not the worst captain option, but I think it's a desperate captain option. I would call it that.
Yeah, I think a bit of a desperation play too. Now, I'll just quickly touch on this as well, the Sharp news. Let me know, guys, if you have any additional notes on this. My understanding is they are going to do a test tomorrow on him. So he'll go through that, fitness test. He's 50-50 for this game. I wouldn't make a trade, on the back of him being out necessarily, but I would plan to know tomorrow. So if you're a team who, you've got Sharp and he's in the starting side, this might sound like we're kind of taking the piss, but I actually think that a little move to Turbo or something like that as the filler for Sharp isn't crazy, right? That or you can go someone bigger as well. If you got the money to go to Tedesco or Campbell, or even a bit higher with a Ruben Garrick, one of these players, you can do that too. But if you're just looking for a cheap little swap, I don't mind the idea of jumping to Turbo. And it's probably a good segue for us to jump into our buys and sells. Just a reminder, guys, too, this show is brought to you by SmartB. So we'll be doing our daily fantasy side as we go through as well. But thank you to the guys at SmartB who help us put this show on. Now, buys or sells? The big moves this week. Turtle, I'll throw to you first. What trades do you have planned? And I know there's always an if, but maybe this, that. So talk us through it. What's the trade landscape for Turtles?
Currently, right now, there's 0 in there, but I need to do a minimum of 2 to field a team of 13 this week. So it's completely reliant on the first game where I get to see how Nico Hines goes and Lawson. if Lawson gets a 40 plus, I'm probably keeping him, and I don't need a center this week. If he doesn't get 40 plus, so let's just say he doesn't get a try and a couple of line breaks or something, then I'm most likely buying both Fermor. So everyone has Lucas, everyone has Herbie. I don't have any of these centers. My centers are quite weak, so I'm in the market for buying a premium center. And I'm tossing up between Fermor and Lucas just because I need another center for next week as well, because I have Garrick. So next week, Garrick has a bye. So no matter what, I need to buy an edge who plays center as well, because I need an edge this week. So Fermor's hot on my radar, and I'm just slightly edging him out over Dylan Lucas purely on the next 5-game run. So I can't remember the exact lineups, but I think it was like 3 or 4 favorable matchups for the Titans, whereas Knights only had 2. And I'm like, oh, these other games, they might just get stomped, and maybe Lucas won't score a try, or maybe he gets injured. Whereas Fermor is completely rock solid, got snubbed by Queensland. I feel like everyone who's got snubbed by Queensland is going to have a big game this week. So DCE is like a very viable option. I think, yeah, the Manly's going to run up a score here. And then for my second trade, it will most likely just be Ewan Aiken. Kind of been eyeing him off the past few weeks, and then just been making some silly trades instead. But I think it's time to bring him in and just hold him. He's going to play the next 2 major bye rounds, so this one and the next one as well. And he doesn't have a bye next week like some of the other players like Preston. So yeah, those are my 2 targets at the moment, Aiken and what's his name, Fermor.
Wait, Fermor. Okay, getting serious, buying Aiken. We should put that on a t-shirt. Yeah, look, both Fermor. Just offer my 2 cents, and do your own thing, right? But I don't mind that idea of anti-potting Lucas's stage. So Lucas has gotten the big scores. He looks to be coming over the hill with that shoulder injury as well, so he looks to be relatively fit. There is that risk that he has that explosion game that, Bo has gone 100 plus this year, but he's not quite as explosive as Lucas is, right? So, yeah, I don't know. Both of them have that risk too, where the teams they're playing for are pretty shocking. Like Newcastle and the Titans, they're not putting up too much of a fight this year. So there's a lot you could do here. There's a lot you could do. I like the idea of the anti-pod, though. Like Bo's a guy, he's got 100 plus before. You could get on at the right time. You could do it again, but it could be spicy. And for you, Rob, what trades are you thinking this week?
I'll just do a humble brag and say I got into Fermor the week before he got his 100. So
the Fermor Whisperer.
Humble brag.
Wow. Okay. All right.
But come join the train. I think he'll be really angry this week. So I think he'll pop out a big score. So, but for me this week, it's going to be nice and easy segment. 0 trades. I've got 16 green dots, so I don't have the need to trade. So I will not be trading. Garrick has to sit on the bench this week. So unless Fletcher Sharp gets injured, which I don't mind if that happens. So yeah, I'm not trading.
Is 16 green dots too many? Like, are you struggling next week or round 18 at all? Or?
I'm pretty well placed. I'm not sure how that happened. Good planning, I guess, but
good planning.
So
you're a bit cocky. You're a bit cocky today. Cocky. All right, Rob.
Yeah, but they're making me rank 2000. Yeah, no, I'm pretty well placed. Like, I just need a couple of more bodies in round 18, and I'm set. So, yeah.
You're primed. You're primed. From my side, I'll go through mine. I held Monster this week.
Just pops out of nowhere.
Yeah, bang. For anyone listening in headphones at home. But yeah, I held Cam Munster. I pondered last week going Munster to Campbell, and I just sort of decided I think Munster had more potential in his matchup than Campbell did. So I thought I'll delay one more week. I'll do it next week. Campbell and the Titans were pretty average last week. So I just thought, oh, you know what? I'm probably not going to do it again this week. And Tamale's gone down now. So I've got the cash for Tamale to Drinkwater straight up, one trade. I actually don't really need to do it, though. If Sharp plays, it doesn't help me that much. Like, I actually don't need the players. I've got the full side of green dots already. But if Sharp was out, then that trade becomes perfect for me. So I'm in a pretty good position here. I'll just run that one trade. I think Drinkwater's worth getting. Like, he's proven himself next to Jackson Purdue. I want to see that combination work. We've seen it work. We've seen him score well in a tough matchup last week against the Storm too. So, that's one that I'm pretty confident with Scotty Drinkwater. But it does mean that I may not end up getting Campbell, Tedesco, these guys for quite a while. And like Campbell, maybe round 19, potentially, maybe dropping a bit of cash before then. We don't know here. Now, we'll just quickly hit a few comments here. Holding Munster again for the Green Machine. I get the most abuse for holding Munster. Of course, he held Munster. I'm just lucky we don't have NRL Noz on today. He'd be devastated. Dean's stoked too. What's the next excuse? Look, maybe it's time to drop the excuses. Maybe it's time for me to admit to you that Munster's a season-long keeper, and he'll be there, round 27, sitting on my side. So that's my trades this week. Let's talk about a few trades from different people as well, because we got some people asking questions here. So quick fire, yes, no from you guys here. First one, Sam Walker, did he run over a black cat? Starting serious.
Nice and serious, yeah. I think it's either that or he dropped a mirror. Something's gone wrong. Like, I don't know, just injury after injury. Everyone was pumped to bring him back. I was kind of glad that he was coming back because I don't have Savala, and I liked enjoying the whole, 2-3 days I had of everyone panicking. Oh, is Savala going to get dropped? Is Smith going to get dropped? And then Savala ended up staying, and I'm just like, God damn it. And now Walker's out again for another 4 weeks. I'm like, Savala's in for another 4, which covers your next major buy round. I'm just like, God damn it. I think I ran over a black cat.
Yeah. As a Savala owner and a Savala truther, I was going to hold him anyway. I was actually excited to see him move back into the back row for a bit in this game and, rack up some defensive stats. But yeah, I still think if you're a team that has, 4 halves, and you got Sand and Smith there, I think it's time to sell him. It's time to move on from him. Then Couchman, must have. Rob, what do you reckon?
Yes, 100%.
Bang, quick fire. Turtle, do you disagree or you on that too?
No, 100%. Just you need the cover for the next major buy round. So the mids are very scarce. I know we get Terrell May for the next one as well, but you need him for this round and next round. You might as well get him.
He's also value. He's 700k, like serious value. It's a great price point. Jolliffe, any love at all, Rob?
No, not for me because he's neither here or there. So he's not a cash cow. He's not a gun. What are you going to do with him afterwards? Doesn't play round 18. Bit of an awkward kind of a player. So no for me.
I agree with that. Turtle, who should I get? Tom Turbo or Hiroti?
I'm a little bit biased. I bought Tom Turbo a couple of weeks ago, and he's just been sitting on my bench doing nothing. Actually, he's been a looper for me, so he's actually done something for me. I reckon Tom Turbo. You gotta risk it to get the biscuit. I think Tom Turbo will get more involved than Hiroti will in this week. Turbo for me.
Yeah,
and he plays next major buy round too.
So that's what I think he's doing on purpose, by the way. He's basically said, all right, you know what? The casual athlete crew, they've brought me in to their fantasy sides. I'm going to rest myself between major buy rounds so that I can be there for them when they need me most, round 12, 15, and 18. Admittedly, I would have needed him last week as well with Smiley, but we won't complain too much. Then a question from Ballbags. Will Carraz play Origin? Some of the usernames are and Discord's the same. But will Carraz play Origin? And if not, is Sharp to Carraz a good play? So I think Carraz won't play Origin unless there's another injury to Brian Tor, which it doesn't sound like there will be. Sharp to Carraz. Let's pivot this question. I want a number from both of you. How many weeks is the minimum number of weeks that Sharp would need to be out for you to trade him out this week?
For me, it's 3. So I'm happy to carry him because I view him as a keeper.
Mm-hmm.
He's very versatile, wing fullback half. If he stays in the 6th role at Newcastle, I reckon he's a keeper. So I'm happy to hold him.
I think, what are we, 15, 16, 17, 18? I reckon 4, including this week, just because they have the buy in 18 anyways. So it's basically the same as having him for 3. But yeah, 4 is pretty good. I think Knights have one more buy to end the year, but he's just dual position. Like, who else are you playing?
Yeah, he's very useful. What if it was like a 2-week injury, but it was calf or hamstring or something recurring like that?
Ooh, probably
This is like right on the line there, by the way. I think
I'll-
that's
I'll-
the line, right?
Yeah, but like if it's like a hamstring and he's got like a minor strain or something, and it's just something that has a really really high re-injury rate, yeah, 2 weeks, I'm probably selling. Like Kiraz will play both major bye rounds. I think next round is the last Bulldogs bye as well, and
Mhm.
Kiraz is as much of a keeper as Sharp with a different type of dual position. But who really needs halves? Like we all look, people are looking at buying Latu Finu, Jerome Hughes next week, and we already have Cleary, something like ICAT Fog. So halves is pretty
Mhm.
stacked. So
You didn't mention
Kiraz,
superstar Nico Hines.
oh yeah, Nick, yeah, good old 25, 25 points
Oh,
last week, Nico Hines. So yeah, if it's 2 weeks with a hamstring, then I think that's a legitimate move, picking up Kiraz.
yeah. See, I reckon moving him to like Tedesco or something like that as well. Like it does beef up round 18 if you're a team that's short in round 18 too. So, Rob, you were going to say something?
Yeah, this whole Origin thing with Toll, it scares me a little bit because it shows you that he's definitely the next one in line, right? So
Mm.
if something does happen, I mean, like, if you were going to get Kiraz, if I was going to do it, I'd probably like leave it a bit later if I could. So like around 17, 18, when you have a bit more idea about how fit the New South Wales squad is. Because the last thing you want is what I've done already is get Burton, and he's a 18th man. It hurts. It hurts. So
Oh.
you don't want to do that. I don't want to do that again.
Yeah, AFAX is in the same boat. Burton picked an 18. He's cooked. I think you will be cooked, guys. If you've got Burton, you're relying on him, but especially for round 18. Then let's keep rolling through some questions. Jenkins break even next week. I think it's pretty low, but so my view on Jenkins is if you've got a good trade that you can use to sell Jenkins, I'm okay with you doing it because next week he comes back. He flies across to New Zealand. None of their Origin players making the trip. The Warriors are a great side, like defensive juggernaut right now. And I think Tommy Jenkins has a quiet one. So I don't trust him as a scorer next week. And then in round 17, unless you're stacked with Roosters, like if you have Noani Tuase and Tedesco or something like that, you might be relying on Jenkins then, but you're probably not playing him then. And then round 18, not playing him either. So there's a bit of cash there, but he's not an effective scorer. And I'm focused on scorers right now. That's why I'm not selling Haas as well. So I personally think that Jenkins is one you can sell. Don't be desperate to sell him, but if you need to make trades, he's one I'm happy to move on. Question on Toby Couchman. Is he proven at the second row? I'll just quickly touch on this one, guys. So not heaps of exposure in the second row, but his limited games have been like 55 to 65, 70 kind of bracket. So he is proven, but he's more proven in terms of PPM in the middle forward spots there. Then got an accusation here. Longy be ringing up Slater to make sure that Munster doesn't get picked for Origin. So he has another excuse. But Munster's the perfect loophole for round 18. So we're all good there. And then we got a lot of questions coming through. I'll throw this one to you guys. If you didn't need a player this week, right, and you were looking at this after this major buy round, Turbo versus Walsh, which way do you lean?
I'm probably sticking with Turbo. I think Broncos are just too hit and miss. Like Manly are very similar. Like they're kind of like flat track bullies. But Turbo's really, really cheap. He's like an extra 70K cheaper. And unless you're selling Haas or Cleary's or one of these really, really big guns, then you're just kind of scrambling for cash. So he's kind of like a cash down. And like both of them have the same amount of risk, like re-injury rates and all that. They're both fragile, but you might as well just take the cheaper one. And the potential to score is quite similar between the two.
Do you agree, Rob?
Yeah, I agree. It's purely because of the price. If the roles are switched and Turbo's 470 and Walsh was 400, I'd say take Walsh. So they're all it's a coin flip, right?
Yep, I'll agree with that. They both have had recent good form in terms of last year. Both of them pretty shocking this year. The one thing I would say counts, I guess it's for and against both of them, is Walsh has had bad form while fully fit. Turbo hasn't really had bad form while fully fit, but he's never fully fit, right? So, you know what I mean? Like, it's Walsh is in worse form, but Turbo's more injured, right? So it's a really tough one. And you could make the case that Ezra Mam coming back is maybe good news. I just reckon this week, like Delhi Chervin's playing for Manly, they're going to feast. Like they're going to absolutely destroy the Titans there. Now, that's probably a good segue. We're going to do a bit of daily fantasy, guys, as well. So build our team for the Manly versus Titans matchup. Then we'll go through some more trade questions, talk through late team list changes. Those will be coming through shortly too. So let's jump into that one. We're just going to jump across to the Titans v Seagulls. And actually, I want a few comments as well, guys. Manly v the Titans. Which player do you think we have to put into this daily fantasy side? Now, Rob, Turtles, I'll throw to you first. I know I shot you a message earlier, but what are you thinking for this game? Like, do you have any players, out of the box players that you think are going to explode in this one?
I'm thinking it's a Manly game, right? Yeah. Turbo.
Yeah.
Just lock in Turbo.
Lock in Turbo. Are we captaining Turbo? Are we going to go all the way?
I think he's good for a VC. Where is Turbo?
Where is Turbo? Oh my god.
Injured.
Oh, don't say that.
Is he actually? I'll try to find him later. I'll find him later. I don't know where Turbo is. Let's keep filling out our team. We've got Campbell. We've got to go Campbell, right?
Garrick.
Garrick. You got to go Garrick.
Got to go Garrick. Yeah.
Brimson's pretty cheeky.
Do you want to go Brimo?
I don't mind a Brimo play. He's playing fullback, right?
Yes, he is.
Yeah.
Do we like?
Kola.
I like Kola. Do we want to go Kola?
Kola. He's been in good form. I'd put him in.
Yeah, Cole's a cracker. And then it's Falalo or I guess Fitzgibbon's there. Tommy Talau, Sami, Brian Kelly. What are we thinking?
Talau, because he's an ex-affiliation as the mascot of the show. So
Talau.
he's
Good shout. Big Tommy Talau. Then the half spot, we've got Trey Evans, Brooks, Weaver, Foran, Tamar. Yeah, okay. I mean, Trey Evans breakout, right?
Trey Evans, right? Yeah, angry.
Is he our captain? Do you go that way? I'm kind of into it.
Yeah, I don't mind it. Yeah.
Bang. And then do we just double down on the Brooks play there, or?
I'll throw out a spicy one. I'm thinking because I'm backing Bo Firma to do well, I'm going to back Kieran Foran here. So maybe some tries.
Feed him some ball.
Feed him some ball. Cheeky line breaks and stuff for Firma. I'm expecting a big game from Firma.
I'll pay Foz. That's a good shout. And the back row for this one.
I like Kawatu.
Yeah, I rate that.
He's going to have kids soon, right? So it's going to kiss it's going to have his kid's name and the thing, that kind of play. The
Ruben Garrick day after having a kid. Big game.
4 tries.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'll pop Firma in there for you, Turtle, because I know you're going to go that way, right?
Yep, thank you.
No worries. And then, I mean, Burbo is pretty cheap for some attacking play, potentially. I'm leaning that way.
The best Travojevic. Yep.
The greatest. I mean, he's the most expensive in fantasy. So, and then forward pack here, no Big Tino, no Fodawaker. Campbell Gillard is a bit overpriced, I reckon. Randall, Tavanga. We could go down the list here, like Bullimore. Yeah, I don't mind the Bullimore play for some attacking upside.
I'll pick Jolliffe.
Fish.
Jolliffe?
Yeah, I think Jolliffe steps up without Tino usually.
It's either like a Sipley, with a try, or I reckon Jazz Tavanga though. Surely we go big Jazz.
Need Jazz.
Yeah. And then one each for the bench here. So there's guys like Gerbo, then RCG, Brown.
Let's go Brown. He can have an explosive game.
Yep.
I'll put him Brown. Yeah.
Throw Brown in.
I'm kind of torn. I don't know if I want Gerbo or if I want Philip Sami.
Well, I'm going to throw Falalo on my spot. Let's get both. Let's go Sami and Gerbo here.
Let's do it.
So Sami and Gerbo. And then we've got to pick a vice captain. Do we go Bo Firma to honor the turtle?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
Bang.
Bo Firma.
All right, we're set. Submit team. Boom.
I just kind of thought about this. It's kind of wild. Manly used to have a lot of players in Origin. So Olaquatu's not playing this year. Turbo's not playing. DCE's not playing. Gerbo's not playing. They've kind of just got completely snubbed this year.
Yeah. Yeah, they're in a pretty crazy spot.
They haven't been great though, have they? They haven't really deserved their spot.
Yeah, but that's what makes this game coming up whenever they play. I think tomorrow or something is going to be. I think Manly is just going to blow them out. They have to prove their point. Say they're still worthy.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we see the huge game too. I think it's a Manly monster. This one. So Then what have we got here? Let's just quickly hit some of the comments here. So Zach's thrown a few in. Jazz, Sipley, Jolliffe as well, similar to us. NRL Noz finally here. Is Sharp confirmed out? Nothing confirmed. So test tomorrow, fitness test tomorrow. He's all good. This is a spicy one here. Is Tarpanay a sell? Turtle, I'll throw to you first. I'm keen to hear your thoughts, Rob.
I don't have Tarpanay. I don't think he's a sell. I still have Horsburgh. I never did the Horsburgh to Tarpanay thing, but they've kind of just averaged the same over the past 5-6 weeks. So I'm still holding Horsburgh until he gets named for Origin. And you're going to need that mid for round 18. Like, why are you selling Tarpanay? It doesn't make sense to me.
He's not a sell. Like, I don't understand the logic of people that literally bought him 3 weeks ago. Yes, had a couple of lower games, but you can't score 70 points every single week, right? So he's proven to be, if not elite, just below that tier of elite mid. So I would not be selling at all.
I agree. You want him for round 18 as well. Like that's like, is a guy a scorer for you? Like, yes, in round 17, yes, in round 18. And for me, that's enough. And then Brendan Piakura has joined Payne Haas on the podcast here, which is good to see. Like the whole Broncos team basically have come in. So Piakura has called you a traitor, Turtle. As a Broncos fan, he cannot believe you've sold out Walsh for Turbo.
Piakura, just understand that Walsh doesn't play this round. I haven't said that I'm not buying Walsh next week and completing the Holy Trinity. I have Turbo and Ponga in my team, and I'm ready to get Walsh. If Walsh plays round 18,
you say the Holy Trinity in our chat.
Just, yeah, the unholy Trinity.
you and Biz are always just like, oh yeah, we're getting the Holy Trinity. It's just like I just start thinking like there has to be a maximum ranking I allow in this chat at some point. Like you're gonna keep making moves like that. And then what have we got here? We got some more complex questions. Rob, I'll throw this one to you. Tarpanay to Preston, King Tongia to Loco Pacifici Tonga, and Burton to Drinky.
Wow, okay.
Preston's
obviously a good one, but why does Payne Haas look like that? What happened? So I wouldn't be selling Tarpanay to Preston.
Yeah.
Unless
you really
they're
need
great.
This week, right?
The Burton to Drinky one? Yeah, the Burton to Drinky I don't mind. But the other two I'm not a big fan of.
One that I'm not a fan of, by the way, and I'm going to sort of come out in this one, is Loco Pacifici Tonga. So we talked about a bit on the show, and there's reasons to get him. But the more I've thought about this, the more I think he's just a dud option to buy for fantasy. And look, there's a world where he comes and he explodes and he starts playing 40 minutes and averages 50 and blah, blah, blah. If you think that's going to happen, then awesome. But if you just buy him as a cash out, he's pretty expensive for a cash out. And he's pretty unlikely to make cash for you as well. So you're not going to be starting him in round 15 and round 18. Like, he's not a guy you're going to trust in that spot. Just the more I look at him, the more I think, you know what, you're better off just going Latu Fainu right now, who could potentially be maybe a scorer for you in round 18. Like maybe not, but he's definitely a genuine cash cow and he's about 40k cheaper.
100%. I mean, some people just they need that position, so that's why they're looking at LPT, for example. But it's a done move. I think I would not be touching him.
Yeah, a lot of buying him and putting him on the bench. That's like, because that's one thing I talk people out of this week. Like, don't buy a guy and then just put him on your bench. Like, people are buying Talis Duncan, put him on the bench.
Yeah,
so there's no need to do it, right? And then for you, Turtle, to Tarpanay or Fogarty to Katoa, if Sharp is out.
Ooh, that's tough.
Probably depends on team composition, right?
Yeah, it depends what you need for round 18. Like, if I'm assuming you have Keon and Couch and all that, because they're going to be filling in your mids this week. So maybe round 18, you might not even need Tarpanay. Whereas halves are quite barren for round 18. There's no Katoa, there's no Hines, there's no Cleary. I'm looking to run with Fogarty and Jerome Hughes. I'll probably pick Tarpanay to Katoa if you need to cover for Sharp. I'll keep Fogarty.
Big call. And Frost King, legend, was in the top spot for quite a bit of last year, actually. He has lost his touch with this sort of comment. Titans 13 plus. Mate, you're off it now. You're off it now. And would you rather Preston or Aitken? I think this one's a really interesting one. So I would say Preston is maybe 3 points better than Aitken, right, as a scorer. He's got somewhat better job security, maybe slightly less injury prone. Like, there's a few little factors that make Preston better. He's quite a bit more expensive, though. So if you're a team that's flush with cash, you can go Preston. But I think for most teams, Aitken is probably the better choice. Would you guys agree or disagree with that one?
I'll probably agree. I think Aiken's a little bit better. Preston has a bye next week, so Aiken's going to play more games for you the next 4 games. So in that 4 games, unless Preston goes absolutely nuclear, like Aiken's going to outscore him because he plays that extra game. So yeah, Aiken for me.
I think
Rob, sorry.
Yeah, I think it's a no-brainer in terms of cash. Like Aiken will produce similar output for much less cash, but Preston will be some of a pod, I think. So that's the difference that might make you steer you towards Preston.
We've got a question here about Big Schmolle as the captain option there from Blake. Now, for those of you guys who don't know, I'm going to brag for him. Not that he's had any troubles with bragging tonight. Rob came third a couple of years back. He was so close to going to first place. And he got to third place on the back of some awesome pod calls. So was captaining like Daly Cherry Evans down the stretch, captaining Tolu Kola when he first burst out at fullback, like making some big manly captain calls. So I figure you're the only one that's qualified to answer this one, Rob. Is Ola Kawatu in this Titans matchup, in a pretty favorable matchup here, a captain option?
I reckon he definitely is. Like I said, he's got a child that's due soon or has been born. So he's going to be motivated to do these, do these ones and have a big game. So I don't think it's the worst captain shout.
I love the logic of that. There needs to be a study into this. Turtle, do you agree with the theory? Or
Well, last time a Manly player had babies, it was it Garrick, and he scored 4 tries. So if the baby comes out before the game, Ola Kawatu might score 4 tries here.
And then we've got Ephraim. Every one of my questions gets skipped. Well, the complaint didn't, but Iro de Carraz or Firma? I'm leaning Firma. So we've talked a bit about both these guys. I think Carraz is probably the better player of the two in terms of fantasy production. Does cover around 18, but he did look a little injured last week. He's covering Origin, all that sort of jazz. So unless you're really desperate for round 18, I'd probably go Firma. If you're desperate for round 18, then go Carraz instead. Now, question here, thoughts on Stewart to AFB. Quick fire, boys. What's your predicted score for Hamish Stewart this week playing off the bench with Emre Gula back in the front row, JDB back in the lock spot, etc. there?
I'll probably say 35. Oh, 36, so close.
Oh, wow. It was so in sync. See, I was thinking like that 35 to 40, so 45 sort of thing. So I was thinking maybe 38, 39. But yeah, so that makes it a reasonably viable trade then to go to AFB. If I was someone who could go to Aitken, Kolomatangi, Couchman, one of these players who's playing around 15 and around 18, I'd probably prefer that as well. Now, Purdue versus Garrick, we talked about both those guys having pretty favorable matchups here. Turtle, then Rob, who do you start out of these two?
Garrick, easily. He just goal kicks as well, so it's easier for him to get points.
Garrick for me as well. I think Purdue's still a bit unpredictable in the halves, so I'll say Garrick.
Yep, I'll pay that. I do the same thing, but I'm starting both. And then Tommy Talau's popped in the show as well. It's great to see the legend Tommy Talau. Good to be here. Thought he'd pop in. Yeah, he's got the Tommy nickname going. But yeah. Now, we can go through the next section here. So we've talked about the buys and sells, talked about explosions too. A couple of late changes, and we've got team list updates as well coming through too. We haven't looked at those yet, but first things first, the Origin situation here. So Mitch Moses is out. I'll just quickly recap it, and then can you get your thoughts, guys? But Mitch Moses out, it means that Jerome Luai comes into the Origin side. Matt Burton remains 18th man. Kolomatangi remains 19th man. Now, in that configuration, Jerome Luai is playing Origin. He wasn't going to play this week anyway. Puts him in a little bit of risk for round 18, so we've got to keep an eye on that. Matt Burton will not play for the Dogs this week. If he stays 18th man, he may not play in round 18 as well. And Kolomatangi, he will play for South Sydney. So no worries about Kalamatangi unless there is an injury in the forward pack, which could happen, I guess. But until then, nothing to worry about. I'll throw to you first, Turtle, and can you get your thoughts, Rob? For Matt Burton, does that make him a sell right now? And do you think he's going to be 18th man again in round 18?
I don't. If you bought him, you probably only bought him fairly recently, probably the last 3 weeks or so. I don't think he's a sell. I'm really stubborn with my trades. Usually, if I buy someone, I hold on to him for a while, even if they get injured. So, he's not playing like as an 18th man, so it's not like he's going to get hurt or anything like that. I think they have the bye next week. He'll come out. There's kind of a clash, right? Like we don't really know what's going on with the whole Galvin, Sexton, Burden combination. We've had a glimpse of it, but it was kind of towards the end of the Para game. So if I had him, I'll probably just hold him for an extra 2 weeks, see how he goes. I think they're fighting for that spot, but I think Burden's the best out of the three.
Do you agree, Rob?
Yeah, so I've actually got him. I am holding unless I need to sell him. So, for example, that round with the Roosters, round 17, where I've got 3 of them at the moment. If there's 2 more outs, then if I can't field a full team, I might be forced to sell him. But otherwise, I would hold him just to see what happens. And if I am selling him, I think there's some good options like Jerome Hughes, Luai potentially if he doesn't play Origin 3. So they're kind of easy sell at a similar price point.
Now Liam's come in. A bit of love for you, Turtles. Daddy Turtles.
casual ballers in the house. Let's go.
Love it. Roman's asked the question, what's up, guys? Should I buy AFB and Campbell or AFB and Preston? I'm going to guess, based on roster config that I've seen of most teams, that AFB and Campbell is probably the better pair of trades. So I'd run with those two. Payne Haas has upgraded his display picture. Now, I do want to show you guys something too. So Nick Sagranis is playing for the Dragons tonight. So I just want to show you guys how you can actually look at this, but it's yafs.com, YAFSS.com. If I go to Nick Sagranis' page here, you can see here his reserve grade stats, right? This is his debut game. So I'm looking at this for the first time, if I'm being completely transparent. But his center average is 53 points at center with 125 meters a game. Pretty good try scoring and try assist rate there as well. Great line break count, 5 tackle breaks a game as well. Defensive work rate isn't massive here, but, an offload a game too. Second row average is actually lower, funnily enough. It's 45 there. So a few less meters, a bit better defensive work rate, just a lot less attack there in the second row. So this Sagranis dude is a bit of a unit, actually, if I'm looking at these, right? Do you guys have any interest at all? I'm just thinking he's edge back row only, isn't he, in fantasy? Do you have any interest in that?
What team does he play for?
The Dragons. So filling in at center for Val Holmes. They've got a lot of guys that can fill in there.
No, I'm not really interested. Like, Val Holmes will come back. I bought Humphreys, so I already have a player who I'm just loaning out just for the Origin period. So I can't really fit in another person who's going to do the same thing. I think he only gets that spot because Val Holmes is out. And then Christian Tuipulotu is only 2 weeks out from memory, is what physio said. Because it was a minor hamstring strain, but it was the other hamstring, not the one he's injured earlier this year. It's the other leg. So I don't know. Like, I can't afford to have another lone player. I can afford one in my team.
I think it's a no-go zone because a lot of people have Lawson and Couchman, and I've got Cook as well. So that's not the Dragons. And I think there's a buy round later that's got Dragons and a couple of other teams which will run you into a bit of trouble. So on top of what Turtle said, that's I think it's a no-go zone.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I think if he was being considered as a bench option or that starting second rower for Leilua, and he was sort of in that rotation as well, and then he was playing center, it'd be a different conversation. But it looks like he's only really being considered at center because they played for Tala Mariner in that back row spot last week. So he's pretty far down the pecking order in the forward pack. I will say, though, these stats are pretty encouraging, and it's a pretty favorable matchup this week too. So he could pop off in this game. The Sharks, missing a few guys in their back line and haven't been defending great, but probably are rightful favourites here. So if you're in a draft league, I think you do a lot worse than this. But yeah, for your classic team, unless it's a pure cash out, probably not the option to go for. Now, we've got a few more questions coming through. Payne Haas has updated his display picture. So he's fixed it up. I was hoping for a more personal photo, though. Like that one's from Wikipedia.
At least use the black jersey.
Yeah, come on, upgrade. Tell us, Duncan, sneaky pod. So last week we talked about him as like a 43, 44 average. Has that changed for either of you? Is he any better than that now in your eyes, or is he still that 43, 44 guy?
I think he kind of plods along a little bit. He did have a big game last week, but you can't expect that every week. You have to temper your expectations and understand that he's most likely going to be like a 40, 45 average, and with the potential of just a random boom game. I think he actually might pop off this game because Bulldogs are quite undermanned, and they actually got pumped last major buy round by the Dolphins. So I'm actually tipping the Rabbitohs this week to beat the Bulldogs. So I think Tallis Duncan, if they can get attacking stats, any of these second rowers, that's like suddenly they go from their average plus an extra 10 points. So if you're thinking he's averaging 40, 45, suddenly he might get a 55, and you're pretty happy with that at like 450K.
Yeah, spicy call. Yeah, I think he's a banger too, but only if you need the player in that position. But a trade like Jenkins to Duncan or something like that, I think for a lot of teams that's better than Tarpanay to someone, right? So I'm leaning that way too. Which hooker pleases? I think we're the Holy Trinity in this question. Which hooker pleases us? So from my perspective, you either go top or bottom, right? With that, so you either go right up to Damien Cook in that top position, or you jump right down to the bottom to Iolu. I'm just trying to nail that pronunciation. From the Roosters, 248K, pure cash out, and now Sanders on the bench anymore. Do you guys agree with that, or are you going a different way at hooker?
There's no in between, right? There's nothing that really excites me in between. So
not Jaden Brayley, Lachlan Croker.
I have a
Jaden Brayley's 300. Okay, go for it.
Yeah, what's his name? Reed Marnie. So, like I said, Bulldogs are quite undermanned, and Reed Marnie is going to be trying to keep his position because last game you saw Toby Sexton move to hooker and Galvin go into the halves. So if Reed Marnie's like, oh, my spot's there's actually people contending for my spot now, not just, what was the other guy's name? Bailey Hayward.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like, oh, now there's an extra guy competing for it. I've got to work harder for this position. The only downside with that is Reed Marnie's idea of working harder is running up, putting a big hit on, stopping the guy's momentum, which is great for footy. It's great for his team. But in fantasy, it ends up as a tackle break because he gets bumped off because he's such a small player. But it's great. It's great for the doggy pack, but it's a bit of a pod play. No one's even talked about Reed Marnie, and there's some years where he's averaged 50s and done really well, but he just hasn't done it this year. And you could kind of take a gamble on that if you're not really keen on, I don't know, Cook at center.
I think the problem is here is the minutes inconsistency, and now with Galvin in the picture, it's very messy, right? So I just think he's 1 foot out the door. So I wouldn't be. That's not someone I'd be interested in.
Yeah, Turpin on the bench too. Turpin came on and played lock last time, by the way, and then Reed got a rest separately to that. So Turpin being on the bench isn't all bad news, but I think the fact that Reed is down the pecking order, and they've used 5 different players to give him a rest this year as well. So they're keen to give him a rest. That's my worry there. But he is cheap and he does have potential. And there is a world turtle where you make that call and he actually just comes out and kills it. He has that potential, but it's spicy. I just think you just go to Damien Cook, 600K. The worst thing Cook will do is score at what he's priced at. And I say that, then I remember actually, no, the worst thing he'll do is play a game at center and score a sweet F-all. Hopefully he doesn't play center again. And if they start carrying Sigranis on the bench, then they might not need to play him at center. So, yeah, Hook is tough. I would go Cook myself or go right down to the bottom, Iolu, but you can't have too many cash outs. Now, Sharp out, quick question there. No, Sharp is not out just yet, but he is under doubt. So about 50% chance of playing. Doing a test tomorrow, so you'll know before tomorrow's games. You won't know before tonight. But let's be real, you weren't buying a player from tonight to replace him anyway, so it's not a big deal. Then hold or sell Haas. I'm on the hold train here. Quick one, hold or sell. Hit me, guys. Hold, sell. What do you got?
Hold.
I'm selling.
Sell. Oh, okay.
That's spicy as, right?
All right, go. You got the floor.
Yeah, so like I said earlier, I need edges and centers basically for this week and next week. I'm trying to plan ahead, and I was talking to casual ballers about it about 2 weeks ago, and it's like, wait, Payne Haas misses this week. He backs up next week. I think it's one of the later games, which is kind of good. Then he plays a full game in round 17, misses round 18, plays another half game in 19, and then has a bye in round 20. So it's like I have a little bit more trades than some people. So I think I got like 11 or 12 at the moment. And I have that luxury of like, yeah, maybe I can actually bring him back for like 800K, like, which might be great. And I lost a lot of money buying Humphreys, Turbo, which kind of hasn't lost money, just been stagnant, and then like Ponga. So I can't really afford to be losing much more. And if I want to stay in contention for winning the whole comp or anything like that, then money's the way to go. And it's about time I use some of my trades. So making big moves this week. Yeah.
Wow. Big call, man. Big call. I mean, look, it makes sense when you lay it out like that. I toyed with the idea as well. I played with it with Cleary and with Haas. And I just couldn't find a combination of trades that I liked. Like I just sort of kept playing with it, and I just felt like, you know what, I'm downgrading my team quality here. Like this is making my team worse, and that's one thing I refuse to do. But I've seen other teams, and I've looked at trades where they're getting big upgrades out of that cash. So it's team by team, and for certain teams it can make sense. And
Like
in your position too, you're wanting to make those big moves and have that big swing, right?
I want to mention that like in the top 500, it used to be like, I don't know, 480 people had Haas. That number's dropped down. It's closer to like 320. So people are like 100 people in the top 100 have already sold him in the past couple of weeks. And like I'm upgrading players like Tamale and selling Haas, and I can get Aiken and Fermor, who is going to both score me more than Tamale and Haas will over the next 5 weeks. So I've kind of just done the math there, and I'm like, okay, next 5 weeks, he's missing three out of the next five, and then is it backing up two little ones, and then he has one full game. I'm like, whereas the other guys, they might have one bye here and there, but they kind of suit my team better. And because I have Garrick, I don't have a center next week. So I'm like, yeah, I'm really, really desperate for centers this week and next week. So yeah, I'm running down the route with Fermor at the moment.
Yeah. Well, there you go, Megan. It's a long answer to that question. So if you can use the cash to make big upgrades like Turtle, then make the move, but don't just do it for the sake of it. Like, I've seen quite a few screenshots, Turtle, where someone will send me a photo of Haas to Tedesco, one trade this week. And it's like, well, probably not worth it if you're doing that. Now we'll keep rolling through. So Tommy and Brendan Piacura created the YAFS website. It's good to know that they're supporting the fantasy community. Now, question here, and I'll throw to you, Rob. Nico Hines, pod captain, up against the Dragons. Historical average is 88.
Josh, don't muddle yourself up. Don't do it. It's been so bad lately. I just can't watch the Sharks because of him. He's just has no line breaking ability. He just looks like he's just playing with his hair out there, not doing anything. It's really hard to watch. So don't do it to yourself, please. I beg you, don't do it to yourself. But whilst we're on the Sharks,
Yep.
I've noticed that Atkinson's been dropped into the reserves and Rudolph's been put in. So does that affect Adam Fanua-Blake and McGuinness, for example, in the minutes? They got a 4-forward bench now, so yeah.
Big time. That hurts AFB for sure.
Yeah, a lot of questions about AFB tonight. So anyone that's thinking about it this week, just beware of that happening.
Yeah, he's a tough one to buy anyway right now. So if you were thinking about buying him, you probably go a different direction than that, I'd say. And then Haas and Tamale to Pierce Paul and Tedesco. 8 trades left. I'm a Pierce Paul owner, and I'm a bit biased, but I just think he's been fantastic recently. So I'm a fan of these trades. You're getting 2 guys who are keepers, and you're getting rid of Tamale, who's a problem there, and Haas, who is out. So as long as you're upgrading the number of keepers in your squad, I think you're all good. Now, let's jump into another team build here while we're rolling, and then we'll go through some last-minute questions too. So I'll just jump back into all comps. Go to free comps here. And we were talking about the Cowboys v Dolphins game. So for this one, Turtle, I'll throw to you first. Who are you expecting to have big breakout in this game?
Scott Drinkwater. Let's go.
Ooh, yeah?
I
Scotty
reckon
D?
Scott Drinkwater 80 plus this week. Big score.
Oh, wow. Okay. So an early vote for captain there on Scotty Drinkwater. Rob,
Big
how about
D
you?
energy. I'll say a Psycho. I think he's been in good form, and I think he's got a few tries in him this week.
Yeah, I don't mind the Osako play. We're obviously throwing Herbie Farnworth into the team. He's been unstoppable lately, and I'm kind of leaning towards Avarillo here at the fullback spot against the Cowboys side that is pretty fragile this week. So I think he's a good shout. And then boys, between Derby, Bostock, Laybart, Burns, Paulo.
I've got a soft spot for Brandon Burns. I don't know why. I just felt
It's
like
cheap.
when he's at the Rabbitohs, he was quite a good player. Always injured.
Is he up against Herbie though?
He's up against Herbie.
Yeah, that's pretty stupid, isn't it?
Well, he might make 50 tackles. So
he might miss 50 tackles.
Yeah, I mean, look, we'll come back. Let's go Bostock for now, and if we're short on cash at the end, we can come back and go to Burns because he's crazy cheap, crazy cheap in this game. And then half spot, I'm gonna executive call Isaiah Katoa.
Yeah,
just a must with the meters he runs. Yeah, he's a monster. And then outside of that, it's Clifford versus Purdue versus Nicarima, or Donahue at lock.
What about Donahue? The sneaky one at lock.
Yeah, don't mind.
Not much upside though, I think.
We can go Donahue, or we can go. We can grab another one on the bench too. So
yeah,
let's go Donahue here. Let's fill the squad out there with Donahue. Then in the back row, we've got Plath, unfortunately not playing. Bateman, no Nanai. Lemuelu's been in form lately. Kafusi, Finafuyaki's an option. Big Carl Lawton, I know you love him, Turtle. Oren Keeley, nice and cheap. And Clay O'Donnell, very cheap. What do you guys reckon?
Let's get Kai. Let's get Kai. So cheap.
Bang.
Yeah, get some cheapies. I like Lemu. I remember having him last year and just did a job for me. So he's finding some form at the moment. So easy pickings.
And then I'll back Bateman to have a big defensive game because you get that bonus for 50 tackles. Also, guys, if you're at home watching along and you want to play, it's SmartB. Link is in the description of the video. I've got a link directly to the Titans Manly game or a link to all the NRL games as well. Then front row spot here, we've got, again, a lot of Origin players here. Robson, Cotter, Marshall King under an injury cloud. Cohen Hess, who's been in a bit of form lately. Griffin Neem, Nichols, McIntyre. I mean, Francis Molo's here. Lars on the bench.
Can we get is Nichols there?
Nichols is there. We'll go the good-looking rooster, Mark Nichols. And then I reckon one of Hess or Neem will score a try.
Let's go Hess.
Hess? Hurricane Hess. And then last spot, I reckon Marshall King. Let's pull that. He should come good. Now, bench spot here.
Before you go to bench, I just checked this. I'm pretty sure Bateman was suspended last week. So I just checked team list now. Yeah, he's not in.
He's
out.
We
need another second row.
Give him the chop. That's a dial. I mean, Finafuaki.
Finafuaki? Yeah, let's do that. But he'd be fun to watch.
Yep. More attacking upside there. Good shout there, Turtle. Good shout. Now, shows how much attention I paid to John Bateman. Now, let's go through the halves. I mean, Clifford's pretty pricey there. I'm going to use my pick on Jackson Purdue. So let's get down to him. Who are you guys liking here? We've got...
Can we pick Jason Tomalolo?
Oh, you can. I think he's not there. I didn't see him.
I think he's not in there.
Not
he
in there?
wasn't in the original side.
Let's go Clifford. I'm gonna give Clifford a go.
Yep. Clifford, easy. And then probably someone cheaper down here. So like a Cody Nicarima.
He can explode. Let's go Cody.
I don't mind Nico. He's been in fire lately. All right, then we got one more spot to fill.
Braden Burns. Let's just throw him in.
You're throwing Braden Burns in. All right, boom. Burns, welcome to the squad. Now, captain, vice captain. Turtle, I'll let you choose captain. Rob, vice captain. Turtle, what you got?
Oh, I feel like everyone's going to say Herbie, but I'm going Drinky here. I reckon Drinky goes for a big game.
Boom. And Rob, VC?
Let's go Herbie.
Herbie, the Herb. Love it. Man, I think Herb has a big one. But Drink, this is prime for Drink to have a big game too. All right, beauty. Now, last minute questions here. I think we've got about 5 minutes left from memory. So let's see what we got in the chat here. What questions are firing through. There's been a lot of questions, by the way, guys. So we're not going to get to all of them. But, guys, fire your questions through right now. We're going to do a last-minute sprint of questions here. And we're just going to take turns. It's going to go me, Turtle, Fungy. I'll read them out, and we just take turns answering. So for me, Hosking to Cook, yes, I like it. Turtle, Katoa 2 tries?
Nope, just one.
Fungy, Couch Pod, or Colo Captain?
Colo, please.
Colo. Then me, is Burton to Drinky good with 110k in the bank, or should I save and go Burton to Hughes next week? Burton to Drinky is an absolute banger. Also, that's a great display picture. That's definitely Payne Haas. Turtle, Fogarty, hold or sell?
Hold forever.
Hold. Rob, King and Hosking to Duncan and Kalomatangi.
Yeah, let's do it. I think that's good.
For me, Tubbs to Herbie, top 500. Yeah, I love Herbie. But I'd try to find another way to get to Herbie myself. But if that's the only way you can do it, then do it. Turtle, from your friend here, King Gutho, 60 plus tonight. Is he going to shine?
I'm going to say Gutho gets a try. I just don't know how many points he gets, because last time I said to talk to Liam here, I was like, yep, Gutho's getting a try, and then he ended up with 38 points with the try.
Tough one. Maybe not then 60 plus. And Tedesco or Herbie, Rob?
Herbie.
Fogarty to Hughes, maybe next week. No need to do it this week, but I like it next week. Turtle, is Latu a good cheapie?
Yes, very good.
And then Rob, Potato Man needs a center. The only ones he can buy trade are Ponga or Kautonga. Who's a good center to target? I think I know who your answer is here.
Well, is it Tatakula? There's no one in that price pack, is there? Ponga,
It's Dan Gagai. Ruben Garrick. And then Kurt Donahue scoring good, Turtle.
I reckon he gets 35.
Yeah, he's in that middle area, right? Like we talk about that middle area. It's a bit of a dead zone for fantasy, so you don't want to play around there too much. Tommy Turbo isn't in the fantasy. I'll get them to fix that up. They're a new game, guys. They're a new game. You've got to be patient with a new game. So I'll pass the feedback back. Rob, Cleary to Teddy and Yongi to Couch. You like that?
Yeah, Cleary misses too many games, so I don't mind that. Depending if you've got enough trades, do it.
2 keepers as well. Scorching hot. Turtle, I think I might have to go Couchman captain.
I would actually captain Drinky over Couchman.
Yeah, there we go. I'd go
if you don't
Couch
have
myself.
on, yeah.
I don't mind the shout. Rob, Piakura or Munster next round? Or I think he's saying bring Piakura in for Munster.
They're both keepers. You got to keep them, so you can't. That's the wrong trade.
Both captains. Both keepers. And we'll finish on this absolute gem here. Lawson captain, 70 plus. If anyone does that, send us screenshots. I want to see it. Anyway, guys, that's done and dusted for our Thursday live show. I had a cracker of a time, guys. I think we were better than last week. So that's always good, moving in the right direction. Turtles, Rob, thanks for jumping on. Everyone who watched along, good luck this week. Pump out those trades, get some big scores, and let's see a Nico Hines Hundy coming out from this one. Cheers, everyone.